You book the flight, right? Pack your bags, dream of cobblestone streets, ancient wonders, maybe that perfect beach. It's your escape, your adventure. You've seen the pictures, read the blogs, but what happens when your dream destination is also someone else's home? And what if that home is starting to feel invaded? It's a simple transaction, you think. You pay for an experience, they provide it. But the currency isn't just money anymore. It's space, it's quiet, it's the very soul of a place. And the locals, well, they're starting to send a message loud and clear. A message that's not always welcoming. This isn't just another travel show listing pretty places. We're diving headfirst into the emotional, sometimes controversial, heart of modern tourism. We're going to cities you might have on your bucket list. Cities that are, frankly, tired. Tired of the crowds, tired of the noise, tired of feeling like exhibits in their own lives. It's a complicated story, no easy answers here. You'll see the beauty, of course, the reasons these places became so beloved. But you'll also see the cracks in the facade, the frustration boiling over. It's a story about love and loss, and the search for a balance that seems increasingly out of reach. So, picture this. You're standing in a line that snakes for blocks just to get a glimpse of something famous. Or you're trying to navigate a street so packed you can barely move. Now imagine living there, every single day. We're talking about cities wrestling with their own popularity, a success story that's threatening to write its own unhappy ending. We'll hear from the people on the ground, the residents whose daily lives are being reshaped, sometimes shattered, by the relentless wave of visitors. It's entertaining, sure, in a can't-look-away kind of way, but it's also deeply human. Get ready for a journey to the front lines of the global tourism boom and its backlash. We're peeling back the postcard-perfect layers to reveal what's really going on. From Europe's historic capitals to exotic island paradises, the story is surprisingly similar, a desperate plea for sustainability, for respect, for a way to share the world without destroying it, or the lives of those who call these places home. It's a tightrope walk, and some cities are dangerously close to falling. So the question is, are we loving these places to death? Welcome back, travelers, and this is Travel Divide, and let's find out. Barcelona. The name itself conjures up images, doesn't it? Gaudi's whimsical architecture, the Sagrada Familia reaching for the heavens, Park Güell's mosaic lizards. Then there's the Mediterranean, kissing the shores of Barceloneta Beach, the promise of sun-drenched afternoons, tapas, and sangria. It's a city that seems to have it all, a vibrant tapestry of art, culture, and seaside charm. For decades, it's been a magnet, drawing artists, dreamers, and of course, tourists, millions of them. Year after year, the numbers just keep climbing. It's a success story, on paper at least. But walk down La Rambla today, or try to find a quiet spot in the Gothic Quarter, and you start to see a different picture. It's not just busy, it's a siege, a relentless churning tide of people that floods the city's arteries. The allure is undeniable, that's the problem or part of it. The very things that make Barcelona so special, its unique architecture, its lively street life, its beaches are now pressure points, strained under the weight of their own fame. You can feel it, this tension in the air, a city gasping for breath. It's like a party that's gone on for too long, and the hosts are starting to look exhausted. Think about those architectural marvels, the ones you see on all the postcards. They weren't designed to be Instagram backdrops for millions. They were built for a different scale, a different rhythm of life. Now they're swamped. And the beaches? Once a local escape, now often a sea of towels, umbrellas, and vendors, making it hard for residents to enjoy their own coastline. It's a constant negotiation for space. Every square inch feels contested. The city's beauty has become its burden, a magnet so powerful it's pulling the place apart at the seams. Or so it feels to many who live there. And this isn't just about inconvenience, about having to wait longer for your morning coffee. It's about a fundamental shift in the city's character. The question many Barcelonians are asking is, who is this city for anymore? Is it for the people who built it, who live here, who raise their families here? Or has it become a theme park, a backdrop for fleeting visits, where the needs of temporary guests outweigh the needs of permanent residents? Venice, La Serenissima, the floating city, just saying the name evokes a kind of magic, right? Gondolas gliding down shimmering canals, centuries-old palazzos reflected in the water, the labyrinthine alleys promising mystery and romance. It's a city unlike any other on Earth, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that feels like stepping back in time. For centuries, it has captivated artists, writers, lovers, and increasingly, an overwhelming tide of tourists. Everyone wants a piece of the Venetian dream, to experience its unique, fragile beauty before it's too late. That's the fear, isn't it? But this dream has a dark undercurrent. Venice is, quite literally, sinking. not just under the rising waters of the Adriatic, a problem exacerbated by climate change, but also under the sheer weight of humanity that descends upon it daily. Those historic sites, the Rialto Bridge, St. Mark's Square, they weren't built to withstand the footfall of tens of millions of visitors each year. The delicate ecosystem of the lagoon, the very foundation of the city, is under immense strain. It's a city of exquisite fragility, and every selfie stick, every oversized cruise ship, feels like another tiny crack in its ancient facade. Think about those iconic canals. They are the city's lifeblood, its streets. But now, they're often clogged, not just with romantic gondolas, but with water taxis, delivery barges, and tourist boats, all jostling for space, creating wakes that erode the foundations of the historic buildings lining their banks. The constant churn of water, the pollution from boat traffic, it all takes a toll. And St. Mark's Square? On a busy day, it's less a majestic piazza and more a human sardine can. The experience of Venice, for many, becomes a battle against the crowds, a quest for an authentic moment amidst a sea of manufactured ones. The disruption isn't just aesthetic or environmental, it's existential. The city's population has been dwindling for decades, locals driven out by the high cost of living, the lack of affordable housing, much of it converted to tourist accommodation, and the sheer impracticality of daily life in a city that increasingly caters only to visitors. Local bakeries, butchers, artisan shops, they vanish, replaced by stores selling cheap masks and glass trinkets. The fear is that Venice is becoming a museum, a beautiful but empty shell rather than a living, breathing city. A place to visit but no longer a place to live. Kyoto. The name itself conjures images of tranquility, doesn't it? Cherry blossoms drifting onto ancient temple roofs, geishas gliding silently through lantern-lit alleys, the meticulous art of a tea ceremony. For centuries, it was the imperial capital of Japan, a city steeped in history, a guardian of tradition. You go there expecting to find a certain peace, a connection to something older, something profound. But what happens when the world arrives all at once, seeking that same quietude? Can a place maintain its serene soul when it's constantly under the global spotlight? When its narrow streets are filled not just with locals, but with an ever-growing river of curious outsiders? It's a question Kyoto is grappling with every single day. The cultural significance of Kyoto, it's almost immeasurable. We're talking about 17 UNESCO World Heritage Sites packed into one city. Golden pavilions, rock gardens designed for Zen meditation, thousands of Shinto shrines and Buddhist temples, each with its own story, its own centuries-old rituals. This isn't just a collection of old buildings, it's the beating heart of traditional Japanese culture. Generations have painstakingly preserved these crafts, these philosophies, these ways of life. But that very dedication to authenticity, the thing that makes Kyoto so magnetic, also makes it incredibly vulnerable. It's like a delicate, ancient scroll. Everyone wants to see it, to touch it, but too many hands, however well-intentioned, can cause irreparable harm. And the numbers, they're staggering. Before the pandemic, we were looking at over 50 million tourists a year, domestic and international, descending on a city with a population of about 1.5 million. Imagine that ratio. During peak seasons like the cherry blossoms in spring or the autumn foliage, popular sites become almost impassable. It's not just a feeling of being crowded, it's a physical reality. You hear stories from locals, from tour guides, about lines snaking for blocks, about waiting hours just to catch a glimpse of something that was once easily accessible. The infrastructure, the public transport, the very rhythm of the city, it's all straining under this immense, relentless pressure. Take Gion, for example, the famed geisha district. It's supposed to be about subtle encounters, a fleeting glimpse of an artist on her way to an engagement. But it's transformed. Tourists, eager for a photo, sometimes swarm, sometimes chase. Or Kiyomizu-dera Temple, perched on a hillside with its iconic wooden stage. The approach is a narrow street lined with shops, and it can feel less like a spiritual pilgrimage and more like navigating a packed stadium concourse. The experience that people are seeking, that quiet contemplation, that connection to history, it gets diluted, sometimes lost entirely in the sheer press of humanity. Is this the experience Kyoto wants to offer? Is it the one visitors truly want? Amsterdam, the city of canals, gabled houses, and bicycles everywhere. It's long been a beacon for visitors, drawn by its art, history, and liberal culture. Coffee shops, the red light district, these are part of its international brand. But what does this mean for the locals? For residents, it's a constant presence, a constant noise. There's also the environmental impact, wear and tear, pollution. The very thing that makes Amsterdam unique is under siege from its own popularity, and the overcrowding, it's palpable. Walk through the city center and you'll feel it. The red light district, particularly at night, can become almost impassable. Locals talk about how their neighborhood supermarkets are suddenly full of visitors. Simple things like cycling to work or getting groceries become an obstacle course. It's a daily friction, a sense of your personal space being constantly encroached upon. This local disruption goes beyond just the feeling of being crowded. It's the little things, the death by 1,000 cuts, the proliferation of tourist trap shops pushing out local businesses. It's the noise from late-night revelers, the litter left behind. For many Amsterdammers, there's a growing feeling that their city is being hollowed out. Dubrovnik. They call it the Pearl of the Adriatic, and when you see it, you understand why. Those magnificent medieval walls encircling a city of terracotta roofs and marble streets, all set against the backdrop of the sparkling turquoise sea. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a place that looks like it's been lifted straight from a fairy tale. But fairy tales? They have their dark sides. And for Dubrovnik, the dragon has come in the form of overwhelming, relentless tourism. The very beauty that defines it, the history etched into its stones, is now under an unprecedented kind of pressure. And then came Game of Thrones. The show used Dubrovnik as the primary filming location for King's Landing, the capital of the Seven Kingdoms. Suddenly, this already popular destination was catapulted into a new stratosphere of fame. Millions of fans around the world saw its ramparts, its ancient fortresses, its winding alleys on their screens, and they wanted to see it for themselves. Set jetting, they call it, tourism driven by film and television locations. It's a powerful economic engine, no doubt, but it also brought a specific, incredibly intense wave of visitors, all seeking to walk in the footsteps of their favorite characters, often with little regard for the city beyond its fictional counterpart. Imagine those ancient walls, designed centuries ago to repel invaders, now struggling to contain the sheer volume of sightseers. The main street, the Straten, can become a suffocating crush of people, especially when multiple cruise ships dock on the same day, disgorging thousands of passengers at once. These are visitors who often spend only a few hours in the city, contributing less economically than overnight tourists, yet adding significantly to the congestion. Trying to navigate the narrow side streets, to appreciate the architecture, to simply exist as a resident within the old town, it becomes an exercise in frustration. The city wasn't built for this, and it's not just about comfort or convenience. There's a real physical strain on this historic city. The ancient stones, polished smooth by centuries of footsteps, are now being worn down at an accelerated rate. The infrastructure, sanitation, waste management, water supply is creaking under the load. Think about the logistics, servicing thousands of tourists within a confined, pedestrian-only medieval core. It's a monumental challenge. The very fabric of Dubrovnik, the thing that makes it a World Heritage Site, is being loved quite literally to death. It's a slow erosion day by day, tourist by tourist. Bali, the island of gods. For so many, it's the ultimate escape. A vision straight out of Eat, Pray, Love. Think lush, terraced rice paddies shimmering under a tropical sun, ancient temples shrouded in mist, volcanic peaks touching the clouds, and those beaches, those legendary beaches. It's a place that whispers promises of spiritual awakening, of yoga retreats overlooking serene landscapes, of a profound tranquility that seems increasingly rare in our modern world. But what are they truly searching for? Is it the vibrant Hindu culture, the intricate daily offerings, the famously warm smiles of the Balinese people? Or is it something more elusive, a deeper connection, a fantasy of paradise made real? The sheer unadulterated volume of people. The environmental strain is undeniable. Stories of plastic pollution choking the once pristine coastlines, the immense pressure on finite water resources, the very essence of its natural beauty under siege. The irony is, the very things people come to Bali to experience, the untouched nature, the quiet serenity, are at risk of being consumed by their collective presence. There's the cultural friction, the stories that bubble up about tourists behaving badly, sometimes shockingly so. Sacred temples, places of deep spiritual significance for the Balinese, treated as mere backdrops for the perfect Instagram shot, with little regard for local customs or dress codes. Then there are the reports of drunken revelry, of a party atmosphere that can feel jarringly out of place against the backdrop of a deeply religious and traditional society. What happens when a place revered for its spiritual heart becomes just another stop on the global party circuit for some? Are these isolated incidents blown out of proportion? Or are they indicative of a larger, more troubling disconnect, a fundamental misunderstanding of what Bali truly represents? The whispers of discontent, they're growing louder, more insistent. You start to see it in online forums, in local news reports, a shift in the famed Balinese hospitality towards a weary resignation, sometimes even outright frustration. How do the Balinese, a people renowned for their grace and welcoming nature, really feel deep down? It's not just about the plastic on the beaches or the traffic-clogged streets. It's about something more profound, their way of life, their ancient traditions, their spiritual equilibrium. Are they being pushed towards a tipping point? Iceland. Just the name conjures up these incredibly vivid images, dramatic, otherworldly landscapes, a canvas painted with glaciers that crackle and groan, volcanoes that smolder with ancient power, geysers erupting in plumes of steam, and waterfalls, so many waterfalls, each more breathtaking than the last. And then, of course, there's the magic of the aurora borealis, the northern lights, dancing across the inky black sky. It's a place that feels primal, almost mythical, like stepping onto a different planet. For years, it was a relatively hidden gem, a remote island nation on the edge of the Arctic Circle. What was it that first drew the intrepid few here? Was it the promise of raw adventure, of witnessing nature in its most untamed elemental form? And then, boom, the tourism explosion. It happened so fast, it was almost dizzying. You hear about the Game of Thrones effect, with fans flocking to see the dramatic filming locations. You see the Instagrammability of its landscapes, every vista a potential viral sensation. And then there were the cheap flights, making this once distant land suddenly accessible to millions. All at once, it seemed, this small nation, with a local population of less than 400,000 people, found itself on absolutely everyone's bucket list. But what happens when a country of that size is suddenly inundated with visitor numbers that dwarf its own populace? The infrastructure, the services, the delicate natural balance. Could they ever have been truly prepared for such a seismic shift? It's a story of rapid, almost overwhelming transformation. The environmental impact, that's where the story takes a worrying turn. These are fragile ecosystems we're talking about, environments that have evolved over millennia, suddenly facing unprecedented pressure. You hear reports of tourists straying from marked paths, trampling delicate, slow-growing moss that can take centuries to recover. There's the issue of waste management, the strain on sanitation facilities at popular sites, the sheer number of rental cars on the roads, the increased demand for energy and water. It's a stark, uncomfortable reminder that even the most rugged, seemingly indomitable landscapes are, in fact, incredibly vulnerable. How do you effectively protect a place that is, by its very definition, wild and open? The irony is almost painful. People journey here to witness untouched nature, and in the very act of doing so, they inevitably leave their touch. And it's not just out in the wilderness. Reykjavik, once a quirky, quiet capital city, has seen its own character shift. The main streets now bustling with tourist shops, souvenir stands, and tour operator offices. The rising cost of housing, driven in part by the demand for short-term rentals, is making it harder for locals, especially young people, to afford to live in their own city. The very fabric of neighborhoods is changing. So, this isn't just about the impact on geysers and glaciers. It's about the profound, everyday impact on the lives of Icelanders. What does it feel like, you have to wonder, to watch your city, your country, transform before your very eyes, sometimes seeming to cater more to the transient visitor than to the permanent resident? Paris. Just saying the name evokes a universe of images, of emotions. It's the quintessential dream destination, isn't it? The city of lights, of love, of art. Think of the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Notre Dame, strolling along the Seine, the left bank cafes, the cuisine. But then there's the reality, overcrowding, endless queues. The metro cars pack so tightly you can barely breathe. The famed Parisian charm can wear thin. Is Paris a victim of its own success? Strikes, protests, and a city struggling to cope. Santorini. The name itself conjures images, doesn't it? Those iconic whitewashed villages clinging to volcanic cliffs, the blue dome churches gleaming under an almost impossibly bright Aegean sun. It's the postcard, the screensaver, the dream destination for countless travelers seeking that perfect sunset, that romantic escape. And for good reason. The caldera views are, simply put, breathtaking. You stand there, looking out over the submerged volcano, the deep blue water, and you think, this is it, this is beauty, this is what I came for. It's a magnetic pull, a visual siren song that has drawn people in for decades, promising an experience unlike any other on Earth. It's a promise that, on the surface, the island seems to effortlessly keep. But then, you try to move. You try to find that perfect, solitary spot to watch the famous Oya sunset. And that's when the picture starts to warp. Overcrowding here isn't just a minor inconvenience. It's a force of nature in itself, a tidal wave of humanity that washes over the narrow, winding pathways. Think about it. An island, not particularly large, with a fragile ecosystem and infrastructure built for a different era, now straining under the weight of millions. Every alleyway, every viewpoint, Every taverna with a glimpse of the sea becomes a battleground for space, for a photo, for a moment of that idyllic peace advertised in the brochures. It's a stark contrast, this relentless human crush against a backdrop of serene beauty. You see the images, right? The endless river of people shuffling along, the selfie sticks like a metallic forest canopy. But can you truly grasp the feeling? The claustrophobia setting in, even with the vast expanse of the sea just feet away. The sheer noise, the chatter in a dozen languages, the click of cameras, the frustrated sighs. Machu Picchu. Just saying the name evokes a sense of wonder, of mystery. The lost city of the Incas, perched high in the Andes, shrouded in mist and legend. Its historical significance is immense, a testament to an incredible civilization. And the natural beauty surrounding it? It's almost otherworldly. The jagged green peaks, the Urubamba River snaking far below. It's a place that feels sacred, a place that whispers stories of the past. For decades, it has been the ultimate pilgrimage for history buffs and spiritual seekers. But even here, the pressures of the modern world are keenly felt. The environmental impact is a constant concern. The sheer number of feet walking those ancient paths contributes to soil erosion. The delicate ecosystem of the cloud forest is under stress from the infrastructure required to support the influx of visitors. There are complex challenges in protecting not just the stones of Machu Picchu, but the living environment that cradles this wonder of the world. You see the photos, the iconic shot from the guardhouse, looking down onto the city. But zoom out a little, and you might see the queues, the carefully managed time slots, the constant flow of people. It's a delicate balancing act, trying to allow access while preventing the site from being loved to death. The Peruvian government has implemented various measures, ticketing systems, restricted circuits, limits on daily visitors. But the demand remains incredibly high, and every decision carries weight. The need to conserve clashing with the economic benefits that tourism brings to the region, a region that relies heavily on this single extraordinary draw. A local guide, whose family has lived in the sacred valley for generations, shared his thoughts, his voice quiet but firm. Machu Picchu is more than stone, it is a spirit, he said. We, the local people, are its guardians. We welcome those who come with respect, who want to learn. But sometimes it feels like a factory. The numbers, they are overwhelming. We worry about the water, about the mountainsides, about the quiet that is lost. It is a heavy responsibility to protect this place not just for the world, but for our children, so they too can feel its power, its connection to our ancestors. His words linger, a reminder of the deep personal connection many have to this ancient site. So Barcelona, Venice, Kyoto, Amsterdam, Dubrovnik, Bali, Reykjavik, Paris, Santorini, Machu Picchu, 10 incredible places, each unique, each grappling with a version of the same very modern dilemma. We've journeyed through their beauty, their culture, but also through their frustrations, their protests, the strain showing at the seams. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're data points in a much larger story about what happens when our collective desire to explore the world clashes with the capacity of these places to host us. It's a complex picture, no easy answers. The allure is undeniable, isn't it? We travel to connect, to learn, to be inspired, to escape. Tourism can be a powerful force for good, bringing economic benefits, fostering cultural exchange, even funding conservation efforts when managed correctly. But unchecked, it can become a destructive force, eroding the very things that make these destinations special. It's a tightrope walk, and many of these cities are now, quite literally, shouting that they're losing their balance. It forces us to ask some hard questions, doesn't it? Is tourism in its current, often supercharged form truly helping? Or is it hurting these places? Are we, as travelers, contributing to the vitality of a community? Or are we inadvertently participating in its slow erasure, its transformation into a theme park? These aren't comfortable questions, I know. They require a degree of self-reflection that can be challenging, especially when we're dreaming of that perfect getaway, that escape from our daily routines. It's easier to look away, to assume someone else is managing the problem, but the responsibility, at least in part, lies with all of us. So what do you think? We've presented these stories, these snapshots of beloved destinations at a tipping point. Where do you stand on the impact of tourism in these cities, or in places you visited? What are your experiences? We genuinely want to hear your thoughts. Share your comments below. Let's have a respectful discussion. Let's explore the nuances, because finding a better way forward, a more sustainable, more respectful way to see the world, is something that affects us all, whether we're travelers or residents of these incredible but increasingly fragile global treasures.